So we talked about the process of unbecoming, and in that we got to the point where we realized that you can't just stop a thought, you can only replace a thought. And so tonight I wanted to talk to you about how you do that. At the same time, understanding that you are not your thoughts, all right? You are not your thoughts. So I want you to imagine it like this, and we shared this a little bit at the workshop here in Adelaide, just last weekend, and that is like around, around maintaining our awareness and remaining conscious. Now, what I mean by that is you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the consciousness behind all of those. You are the awareness behind all of those things that continuously change. But your awareness doesn't change. So you are the solid force behind all of the things that are forever changing. Okay, and I want to make that clear. Yes, your thoughts are a part of you. Yes, your emotions are a part of you. And last week we talked about how typically our thoughts have been programmed into us, that the way you think right now is not your thinking, it's the thinking that somebody programmed you with. Thoughts then lead to emotions, and they have also been programmed into us. We've basically been taught when this happens, we should feel like this. When someone calls you a name, you're supposed to be angry. When someone lets you down, you're supposed to feel disappointed. So our emotions have even been taught to us. They're not even our feelings. They're the feelings that someone told us to feel when something happens to us. So basically, we're not even ourselves. We are, and it's not about how do I become my real self. It's how do I unbecome my untrue self. And so that's where we pick up on the message tonight. And so around all of that, once I become, because I am consciousness. So as soon as I become aware of a thought, and I can have an awareness and a consciousness that I don't know if that thought is mine. It's a thought that's been programmed. My brain definitely thought it, but I don't know if that belongs to me, my true self, my consciousness, the spirit that is maintained behind all of these things that are forever changing. Emotions always change. Thoughts always change. Okay, so how do we then unbecome? How do we unprogram that part of our brain so that we can always remain consciousness? That we can always remain conscious, which means we actually become who we are. We unbecome who we're not. We stop being our thoughts. We stop being our emotions. You know why we can stop them? Because we aren't them. They are not us. That isn't even who we are, which is why it is possible to change your thoughts, but you can't change your consciousness. You can't change, the essence of who you are. Is that making sense? Double tap your screen. Tap, 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 tap. Go nuts. Let me know if you understand that. All right, you guys got to give me some feedback here. I'm not here to just waste some time and chat to you for 15 minutes. I want to know, is this message getting through? Because I'm using sometimes some heavy language that you might not be, familiar with. Give me some comments. You guys understanding? I haven't lost you already before I go on to the next part? No? Yes? Give me some comments. I'm not going forwards. You know what I would do? If we were in an audience right now, I would literally pick on you if you didn't answer me. You understanding? Okay. Beautiful. So, thank you. Excellent. We got some feedback. Thanks. Exactly, Nat. Exactly. Eckhart Tolle. This is the man that I learned it all from. I didn't just rock up here knowing all this stuff. Don't you worry, I had to unbecome like you wouldn't believe. If you knew the Holly that I was 3 years ago, you guys wouldn't even want people to know that you associate with me. I don't even know how my husband married me 10 years ago. Actually, for real, I'm like, seriously, what did you even see in that person? Like, crazy, right? So, how do we then, no, for real, Lisa, right? You've only known me yourself for like 5 years and I'm pretty different, okay? I've learned to unbecome. I've got my PhD in everything that I'm talking to you about tonight. And my greatest teacher in the spiritual sense has been Eckhart Tolle. So I strongly suggest you all, follow him or watch his YouTubes or whatever. So once you are aware, once your true self has been made aware that what it's currently thinking or what it's currently feeling doesn't really belong to it. These are separate entities. These are things that are they're fighting for territory. They want to own you. They want you to identify with them. They want you to think that you are them, because if you think that you are them, you give them life. The moment that you remain conscious and know that you are not them, you break the addiction to them. You break their power. Like the ego needs problems to survive. All right, The Power of Now, absolutely, it's an incredible book. I personally like A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. That's my favorite book of his. But anyway, so how do we break this down? How do we unbecome all of that? You can't stop a thought, you can only replace a thought. Now, in order to get good at this, your consciousness needs to reprogram your brain. Does that make sense? So the thought comes from your brain, which doesn't come necessarily from your consciousness, okay? But we're going to use you're going to have a moment of awareness where you know that it's not what I want to think. I don't want to think like that anymore. I want to unbecome all of those thoughts. So how do you basically train the brain to stop that so that there's space between thoughts and you can remain conscious and be you in between the noise and the busyness of all those separate entities that are trying to take over you and basically make you think that you are them, all right, if that makes sense. Now, how do you do that? I call it the go-to thought, okay? You can't stop a thought, you can only replace a thought. So you've got to have a thought that you go to. When you are thinking, yeah, I'm warranted guilt the whole lot, right? When you are thinking something, when you've been aware of a thought that you don't want to think, or an emotion you don't want to feel, or whatever it might be, how do you stop that from happening? You've got to have what I call the go-to thought. The thought that you will use to replace the thought you don't want to use, that leads to the emotion you don't want to feel, that leads to the behavior you don't want to do. So how do you stop that cycle? You become conscious of it, and then to begin with, we work at the level of the brain. Once your consciousness has power back over that, then you go even deeper and you work at the level of the spirit. But you do need to begin with this whole computer operating system that's currently running everything, okay? So you have what I call the go-to thought. You've got to think of a thought. You've got to have something, just one thing. You don't have to have lots of things, just one thing. And that one thing becomes the thought that you will think. So, you come up with a thought. It could be, I don't know, it could be a dream you've got. It could be like some private island or whatever. You got to make up a picture in your head of something really vivid. How you make it vivid, you involve all of your five senses. So you've got to see a picture of whatever kind. Now, you can use something that makes you feel nice if you want to, or a dream that you've got. I suggest that, remember, the purpose of this isn't to have a new thought to think. It's just to replace a thought you don't want to think. So for me personally, I always advise, don't do some kind of dream, vision, because guess what? If you use that as the go-to thought, the one that will interrupt the thought you don't want, then you're going to be sitting there thinking of this new thought because you like thinking that, because that's your dream. But the purpose of this isn't to think about that, it's just to stop what you're currently thinking so that you can have space in your thoughts. Making sense? Give me some feedback. Have I made sense there before I go forwards and tell you how to do this go-to thought, the pattern interrupt? You got it? Okay, beautiful. Thanks, Jack. Okay, guys, keep giving me feedback, all right? Comment. Imagine we're in an audience. Imagine we're talking. I want you guys to comment the whole way through. I want this to feel like a conversation, not some presentation where I'm sitting here talking and you guys give me nothing back, all right? I want you to really start involving because I want to give you a lot of value, but I also don't want to get too heavy too fast, okay? Because I don't want to lose you in the message, all right? I want to do it at your... Yes, miss, she says. Oh, you're funny. Anyway, so, we don't want to have a thought we want to get hooked on because we want to break the addiction to thoughts. We want to break the addiction to thinking. A toasted sandwich. Great, Carrie Ann. I was just going to say, you want to have something that you... that is just kind of ridiculous, right? But it serves its purpose. So you want to have something that you can see, that you can taste, that you can smell, like a toasted sandwich, right? I'm going to give you an example of the purple donkey, okay? I use this with my kids. You can use it as an adult, but regardless of whether you use this one or not, it will serve the purpose of teaching you what a go-to thought is. And by the way, I need to make a very quick apology. Simone Atteridge, I know you're on the line right now. We're supposed to be on a phone call with each other, and we're going to be 5 minutes late on that call. Is that all right? Because I know I'm supposed to be off Periscope and on the phone to you right now. Can you forgive me for 5 minutes? All right. There you go. Joy says, stop this bullshit, worked for me. I had a coaching session with Joy today, and we that's funny that you say that, Joy. I've never heard you talk like that. That was really funny. Anyone that knows Joy is probably laughing right now. Anyway, so oh, you've made me lose it. So Here's the purple donkey story. Or you can use the toasted sandwich. Something stupid. You don't want to keep thinking. You just want something to interrupt the current thought. I think I've said that 10 times. Now, here's the purple donkey. I use this as a pattern interrupt for the kids when they have fears. But for example, I won't go into the detail behind it because this isn't a parenting talk tonight. But it's a donkey that interrupts anything they're scared of. So whenever they're scared or they're thinking thoughts because remember, fears aren't real. They're just thoughts that, that we buy into, okay? And so to interrupt that thought, I've told them about this purple donkey. And I made up a story behind it so that they embrace the whole concept. But basically, it's a donkey. And I want you to picture this, okay? Its whole body is purple. And it has a green mane and tail. It has a yellow nose, right? And it has a green mane, it has a red tail. And then I told my kids that this donkey, whenever it knows you're scared, it shows up. And what it does is it lifts up its tail and it does a pop-off so that it scares your fears away. And, that makes them laugh. Now, that gives the kids a pattern interrupt, right? I involved everything. What does it look like? And it's so ridiculous, like as if there's a purple donkey with a yellow nose and a green, but it's so stupid that you can see it. It's right there, like you can see it. And then we added something funny into it, that it pops off on you when you're scared, so that's how it scares your fears away. So that what that does is it makes the kids have a thought that a donkey pops off on them, and then they're like, and then they've broken their thought of fear, right? Now, that's the concept, okay? And now if you want to know about the purple donkey, I can do a whole Periscope on that, on the parenting thing on Tuesday night and how to use it. And if you do want to do that, let me know on the Facebook group and I'm happy to do that. But in the meantime, do you get the point? Like the whole purple donkey thing, I use it sometimes, all right? I think of this stupid purple donkey, and it's the most ridiculous thing, but I can see it. It breaks the thought that I had that I didn't want to, that you can smell it. I'll cover it next time. All right? Now, that's what it's called. So, this is how you begin to unbecome. You don't just go, well, I need to stop thinking. Tonight, before you rest your head on your pillow, I want you to think of what your go-to thought's going to be. What's going to be the thought that you use every time you have an awareness that you're thinking something that isn't you, that you don't want to belong to anymore. You don't want to let that entity own you anymore. And so, there you go, purple balloon. It could be anything, okay? And I want you to think what it is. I'm about to make a Facebook group just with regards to spiritual expansion and personal development, not parenting. And so, this will be where we'll share ideas like this. And I might even make that tonight. If not, I'll make it tomorrow. But, make sure you join that and share that. And we'll share all these concepts. And after Periscopes like this, we can all jump in the group and kind of give each other ideas. And it's not a group that I run. It's a group that I open that we all run, that we all contribute to. All right, so that's it for tonight. We're going to do more on this next week, but for now, come up with your go-to thought and use it every time you are conscious that something is going on inside your body, your mind, your ego, whatever. And that you don't want to own you anymore. You want to break that cycle. Use your go-to thought. I'll set up the Facebook group, and please tell us what your go-to thought is. I'll post in there. I'll make the first post. So what's everybody's go-to thoughts? Share them with us. Because sometimes your idea is what someone else uses. They might have their own after tonight, but it doesn't work real well. And then they turn around and then they use yours, and you made a difference to someone else's life because you shared and you made a contribution. So I'm going to stop there for tonight. We're already over time. I've got another appointment that I'm late for. So Miss Simone Outeridge, go ahead and call me right now. Thanks to all of you. Love you all. Thanks for all of your feedback tonight and for commenting all the way through. It definitely makes it so much more enjoyable for me. I appreciate that. Good night. Expect success. And just remember this before you leave here tonight. Remember what I always say. I want you to depart here with courage. Take with you some courage. The courage to believe in a better way. The courage to voice what you've got to say. The courage to thrive when times are tough. And above all else, the courage to know you are good enough. Good night.